Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football, Michigan, Northwestern, Wrigley Field. Multiple storylines at play in this game. Now, I think most notably for a lot of us Michigan fans, and that is, man, how healthy is this football team? And you go back to that game against Purdue, they started the game without Justice Haynes, without Jimmy Rolder, without Cole Sullivan. And then as that game played out, like they lost Jay Sean Barham to an injury. They lost Donovan McCulley to an injury. Coming out of the bye week, how healthy is this Michigan football team? But number two, and to me, the bigger storyline and something we've talked a lot about over the last couple of weeks, and that is, what's the final form of Michigan going to be in 2025? Because I think a lot of us Michigan fans who follow this football team closely know, man, it's been a roller coaster. And a large part of that roller coaster has been it's a young football team, specifically on offense, right? True freshman quarterback, Bryce Underwood. But you got three starting offensive linemen who are redshirt freshmen. Arguably your best pass catcher on this roster, Andrew Marsh. He's a true freshman too. It's a young football team that we hope to see get better as 2025 plays out. Well, you better show those steps over the next couple of weeks heading into that Ohio State game. This is a game against Northwestern coming out of a bye week where you want to see Michigan as a whole take that step and show the fan base, show the college football landscape that this is a team that has the ability to beat Ohio State at the end of the month, because we got to see that against Northwestern. Man, I'll look at Northwestern and say, look, I ain't going to get up here and say this is a great football team. It's a damn solid one. 5-4, 3-3 in Big Ten play. This is a Northwestern team that earlier in the year went on the road and beat Penn State. That's a Penn State team that I know has struggled, but also almost knocked off Indiana on Saturday. Northwestern can play. But you want to see Michigan come out, take care of business, and show they're a little bit more of a clean football team, because we know this Michigan team has firepower. You got to be a little bit more consistent. Do we get to see that against Northwestern? That to me is the biggest storyline heading in. A lot of fun matchups to get into before we do, and as always, y'all let it fly, man. The amount of support many of y'all have shown the boys for these preview and prediction episodes, it has been amazing. Can't thank you guys enough. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into it now. Let's start with this Michigan offense. And it's been a funky Michigan offense to talk about because they do some things really, really well. And you even look at the numbers and say, all right, 28.1 points per game, that is 60th in the country. It's better than what it was last year, but it still does not feel great. Then you start diving into some more numbers and say, well, this Michigan offense is averaging 6.4 yards per play. That's top 20 in the country. All right, well, why is there a difference between Michigan being a top 20 offense in the country in terms of yards per play, but only scoring 28 points per game? Sloppy on third downs, abysmal on fourth downs. Michigan is dead last in the country converting fourth downs. They've been really bad in the red zone as well. Got to clean that stuff up. If you want to be a team that can beat Ohio State at the end of the year, you got to score touchdowns in the red zone. You have to execute on those money downs, something that Michigan at times has struggled with. You want to see them come out, be a little bit cleaner in those big money downs. I think Michigan's going to have the ability to run the football here. And Michigan has really leaned into it. And I'll say this, if there is one thing that you should be buying stock into, man, it's this Michigan rushing attack. I mean, 59% of Michigan's offensive snaps have been running the football. They're averaging 6 yards per carry, top 5 in the country. I mean, there are a lot of defenses that know Michigan's running the football. Man, they can't stop it. With or without Justice Haynes, because Justice Haynes been damn good. Jordan Marshall, gives Michigan a little bit of a different flavor in terms of how hard this cat runs the football. And I look at Northwestern and say 4.7 yards per carry given up. That's 99th in the country. I think Michigan has the opportunity to go out there and run the football. What I'm more curious about, I wouldn't be surprised if Michigan has success running the football, because quite frankly, they've had success running the football on everybody that's not named Oklahoma. How well can Michigan marry their passing attack? When you run the football as well as Michigan has shown they can run it, and this offensive line specifically in the run blocking department, it's been borderline elite, right? How well can you help that facilitate your passing attack? Because it does feel like this Michigan passing attack is still stuck in neutral a little bit. Can we work some more play action? Can we get some more opportunities to work the ball vertically down the field? And when we do have those opportunities to make those plays, Bryce Underwood, these pass catchers, are they going out and making those plays? That's what I want to see. Like that when you talk about the final form of Michigan on offense, it is, hey, we're going to run the piss out of the football because we're really damn good at doing it. But if we want to take that next step on offense, you have to marry that rushing attack with the passing attack. Something that Michigan did really, really well, in 2023 with J.J. McCarthy. Michigan ran the football well, but they married it with that passing attack. Can you do that going into the month of November? One thing that I personally am looking for is maybe a bye-week bump from Bryce Underwood. To me, it maybe feels like Bryce Underwood has hit a little bit of a true freshman wall. Had a really good game against Washington a couple of weeks ago, and then against Michigan State, then against Purdue at home. It felt like it hasn't been great. It felt like it hasn't been consistent. Coming out of the bye week, oftentimes during bye weeks, you see true freshmen come out of them and take a step. We saw Andrew Marsh do that during Michigan's first bye week. Can Bryce Underwood get that bye week bump in the second half of the season with the second bye week? That's the storyline I'm looking at. Feed Andrew Marsh. That's a guy I think Michigan finally knows who their best football players are. I think we spent a lot of time in the first half of the season trying to feed a guy like Samaj Morgan. I think it turns out maybe Samaj Morgan's not the guy we should be feeding. Maybe it's Andrew Marsh. Give Andrew Marsh opportunities to make plays. I think he's the most electric non-running back that Michigan has on offense. Flipping over the defense, this is a really tough matchup for Northwestern. Now, what Northwestern is going to try to do here is just run the football, control the time possession. They are top 20 in the country in time of possession. They run the football dang near 57% of the time. They have a very good offensive line, and they do have a solid rushing attack. Hey, 4.6 yards per carry, that's top 40 in the country. Well, Michigan's top 15 against the run. One of the things I want to see is, hey, these linebackers continuing to fit the run the right way. Something we've seen some really good things over the last couple of weeks, but against USC was pretty damn sloppy. If you stop the run at a high level, it's hard to see Northwestern manufacturing a lot of points. It's a very difficult matchup for Northwestern because they're going to try to line up with some two tight ends, and they're going to try to be physical, and they're going to try to run the football. I'm just not sure if they can do it against a team like Michigan that's got a really good defensive line, especially stopping the run, and really good backers. If Northwestern does struggle to run the football, can Preston Stone win through the air? They got a really, really good wide receiver in Griffin Wild, who came in from an FCS program in the offseason. But outside of that, there's not a ton of guys that scare you. You look at Northwestern's passing attack, 5.8 yards per pass. That is 120th in the country. Preston Stone, 10 big-time throws, but 17 turnover-worthy plays. Been something that I've really been impressed with Michigan. It felt like last year Michigan didn't force as many turnovers as you had probably hoped for. Wink Martindale, super aggressive defense. Kind of thought this would be a team that does well in the turnover margin. Wasn't the case in 2024. It has been the case in 2025. 1.8 turnovers per game. That's top 25 in the country. This is a game where I think Michigan can grab some turnovers and change the game and kind of pull away here. It's going to be big. You go and look at that game against Ohio State. And look, I don't mean to put the cart before the horse, but I'm a Michigan fan. Many of y'all Michigan fans, we all thinking about it. Like, how are we going to beat Ohio State at the end of the year? Turnovers on defense feels like a big storyline. You want to see this defense continue to force turnovers. Getting into the pick here, and I haven't felt super comfortable taking Michigan to cover numbers. I feel really good about Michigan covering the number here. Like, coming out of a bye week, 2 weeks to prepare, getting some guys back healthy. And I think Michigan will have some success on offense because of their ability to run the football. I struggle to see Northwestern have a ton of success. If they can't run the football, that passing attack does not really scare you. Give me Michigan to go to Wrigley Field and give me Michigan to win this football game, cover 9.5 points, maybe it's wishful thinking, but I hopefully out of this bye week, getting back healthy, getting a little bit more improved, doing a little bit of self scouting, Michigan comes out and plays well. That's what we're all looking for as Michigan fans. We'll pause it there. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.